What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning on in. Tobin here with you. If you love the radio show, Tobin and Leroy, check us on out, man. YouTube.com/TicketMiami. Now, I will say, not many new videos up this week. I was on vacation. I'm back on Monday. We hit the ground running full go. Hasn't been much movement on the whole orking for Kevin Durant or Donovan Mitchell. Been a whole lot of stalemate reports. Been a whole lot of, this has hit a roadblock. No trade's gonna happen. It was very interesting. There was big feature yesterday on ESPN on Zach Lowe. Zach Lowe wrote this really good piece on Tyler Herro, on what Tyler Herro could be, because he is looked upon as this polarizing figure around the league. Like, what is Tyler Herro going to be? What can he be? And was comparing him to the likes of Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett, some of the other big pieces, young pieces that had been thrown around. And it was interesting because Zach Lowe was talking about the idea that maybe we've seen so much of Tyler Herro that his allure has kind of worn off, which I find kind of crazy about that if you think about it. Because, if Tyler Herro was 26 or 27 and front offices were looking at that and say, I think we've seen the most of Tyler Herro. This is a guy who was 3 years in college and he came out and burst onto the scene, bubble boy and all that type of stuff. And, really the snarl, all that. I would say, okay, I'll hear you out that you think that you've seen the most and the best of Tyler Herro. But the guy's 22 years old. I think it's a little silly to look at him and say, even next to Scotty Barnes, who looks tremendous, and RJ Barrett, who's gotten, 4 playoff games, and to say, oh, well, we have seen everything from Tyler Herro. There can be no more improvement. There was improvement this year. Now, let's not sit here and act like the guy, wasn't a better player this year than he was the year before, much better, and that he hasn't improved since he's entered the league. Certainly was a disappointing postseason, and I think maybe threw some people off. If Tyler Herro would have blown the doors off of this postseason, I think we're talking about a couple of things. One, are the Heat even questioning about giving him the extension? They're delaying giving him the extension. And is there this great debate about what he is within the landscape of the NBA, what he can be if he is the go-to guy and all that type of stuff. So check that on out. It's a interesting piece from Zach Lowe if you're a fan of the Heat and things with Tyler Herro. And so far, apparently the one thing that he does say from those reports is that the Tyler Herro-led packages have not garnered the response that these teams, that the Heat would have hoped for. That they're looking around and the teams like the Jazz and the Nets are looking at packages that are led by Tyler Herro, and that basically hasn't gained traction. That it hasn't put them in a spot where it seems like that is the spot where it'll absolutely get the deal done. But the interesting thing is, what is going to be that thing? I guess the other thing that has that real momentum right now for Donovan Mitchell is, the Knicks giving up a gazillion picks. I mean, they're talking like 7-8 first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell, which I think is crazy. Thanks again to the Minnesota Timberwolves for really, screwing the pooch on this one with giving up the farm for Rudy Gobert. I guess you do what you got to do. But this idea that they're going to get twice the amount of picks for Donovan Mitchell in this kind of a spot, 25 years old, all-star, great scorer. The Heat, first of all, don't have that war chest of picks. They're just not in that position to do that, which is why you're hoping, if you're the Heat trying to get a deal like that done, a guy like Tyler Herro is supposed to buoy something like that of not having the picks, especially with the Knicks, if they are able to pull off this deal without giving up an RJ Barrett. The Heat's supplement to that is supposed to have a guy like Tyler Herro, which we know a guy like Danny Ainge would like. But even the Knicks apparently have balked at some of things like this, the demands of having a Donovan Mitchell on their franchise and giving up this many picks. And if you're the New York Knicks and you're giving up 7-8 first-round picks, first of all, how are you not calling up the Brooklyn Nets and being like, hey, is there any way that you would do Kevin Durant for this? And why would Brooklyn say no? Like, in Kevin Durant, what would he have to do? Drive over a different bridge to get to work? I know that there's certain franchises that I think would be scared of doing that, but like if you're the New York Knicks, you can't, and he's done with you as a franchise, you could say, hey, you're not going to have to move. You have all of your stuff there, 35 ventures. You probably were going to come to the Knicks anyway. Yeah, he's talked some crap about the New York Knicks, but like they're gonna forget all that. Listen, New York Knicks fans. Let me just tell you something. They're idiots. All right, they're gonna forget everything. So don't worry about it, KD. But at least you're getting a bona fide top 5 player in the league, whatever you want to put him at right now. I know people have banished him down to like number 10 because of one season, but one of the best players in the league, where it's like Donovan Mitchell is he's like on the bottom cusp. I think he's like, top 20, something like that in reality. I think why the Heat would value somebody so much like Donovan Mitchell is it speeds up the process of knowing whether or not a guy like Zach Lowe writes, if a guy like Tyler Herro is going to develop into the kind of playoff scorer you need to be alongside Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Because a lot of those shortcomings are still there. Not a great defender, not big, and, is a little bit older and already has his big contract and all that type of stuff. So definitely has the accolades and all that type of stuff that Tyler has not gotten yet, but Tyler's still 22 years old and was on the cusp of probably making an all-star team this year. So those are just things that I think are going to be interesting to see with the Knicks. Is like, are they really willing to give up 8 first-round picks for somebody like Donovan Mitchell, who, what does that do for them? Where does that put them? Does that put them ahead of the Heat? I don't think so. And as far as the Durant thing is concerned, it's interesting. I mean, the only things that I've seen while I've been out and on break, and by the way, it was funny because in between, I did a couple of videos today, and in between, my wife was coming back from the gym, and I'm not supposed to be working on vacation. It's like a taboo thing. I was not supposed to start working until my mixed martial arts show on Saturday, and she just like gives me this look. You would have thought I was watching, inappropriate websites or something like that. She just looks at me like, working on vacation. I'm just like, sorry. I had to. You were going off to the gym. I had to get off some takes. There were a couple things that I found interesting. One, I saw that on social media. Allegedly, Mickey Harrison removed pro-vaccine. I don't know if that's true. It's Drew Starr on Twitter. I can't trust him. I love him to death. I don't know what's real and what's not real and what's from 7 years ago. So I don't know if that's true. But if that is true, let's just have fun and say it is true. It could be something, could be nothing. If that was put out there by Mickey and was removed by Mickey, I would be very interested. I'm still interested in the Miami Heat going after Kyrie Irving. And I don't think that should be something that should be dismissed by the team. And if the owner is backing off of that, if they have had basketball talks, I'm like, yeah, Mickey, let's talk about it, baby. Maybe they've had talks with Kyrie Irving's representation, whoever the hell that may be at this point. Maybe this has been put at a place where he is more open to it. But I don't know whether or not he removed that or not. I can't trust it based on the source that it's coming from. I love you, dude. He's tricked me too much. I've been duped by Drew Starr too many times on Twitter to know what's real and what's not real. So when I saw that, I was on a water slide line. I was like, oh, I had my little phone in the plastic casing, and I was like, oh. And then I saw who it was from. I'm like, I don't know whether or not Mickey Harrison really removed pro-vaccine from his Twitter bio. The other piece is that's interesting. So the guy we haven't talked about, Kevin Durant. So KD, this is also at a standstill. Apparently, no deals have knocked the Nets' socks off. Certainly not a deal that has been led by Tyler Herro. A lot of people are saying, well, no deal will get done for the Brooklyn Nets if it doesn't involve Bam Adebayo. And Bam was actually asked about this. Bam was at a junior Heat camp and was asked by the campers from Ira Winderman. And he was asked about from some kids about the Heat trading for Donovan Mitchell. And Victor Oladipo says, quote, "We can't answer that." He was there with Vic. Funny videos, by the way, with those two together. He has dubbed them BO because we're nasty. I love that. 2 scoops of adorable Bam Adebayo and Victor Oladipo. And then Bam was asked apparently about the idea of being in the deal for Durant. And he says, "It is what it is. Control what you can control. Obviously, it's an opportunity for something. But in my opinion, control what you can control, and I can't control that. So I do what I've been able to do. I get up early, I work out, I have fun with these kids, and I'm going to go home and go to sleep." And I don't think Bam really, like, there's been reports Bam hasn't even looked for assurances from the Heat that he's not going to get traded. I don't think Bam's worried about getting traded for Kevin Durant because I don't think the Heat are going to trade Bam Adebayo for Kevin Durant. I don't think so. I think that they look about Bam as like one of the cornerstones of their franchise, 25 years old, best defender in the league, is still blossoming an offensive game, and I think are looking for the best ways to get him the ball even more and better comfort spots and all that type of stuff. But it was interesting reading this, and I did wonder this because I don't think Bam's really been in that many trade rumors. And, Bam is, I don't want to say Bam's petty, but Bam doesn't forget. And I do wonder if there will come a time where the Heat will put out some type of report where it's like, we're out of the KD sweepstakes, we're out of the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes, and just move on with the season. Because they kind of did this with James Harden. They actually did do it with James Harden, where it was like, we're no longer pursuing James Harden, just to put the trade talks at ease for Duncan Robinson and Tyler Herro, who have both admitted it, didn't get to him. It's kind of hard not to. These people get, individuals in the ears at all times. And, as I've said, Tyler Herro, this guy is a black belt in trade rumors at this point. Duncan Robinson, I don't even know if Duncan Robinson would be against the trade at this point, because I think he's probably looking at the team and be like, what is my role going to be this upcoming season? Am I going to earn back a starting spot? And if not, then what is my definitive role going to be? Or does he want to go to a place where he'll have a definitive role? I think there's going to be a lot of people on the fringes who aren't Bam and Jimmy who are going to look at this and say, well, what is my Victor Oladipo? I think Tyler Herro. All have kind of made their point of like, where is my spot on this team going to be? Max Strus. Max Strus is a contract year coming up. Gabe Vincent's a contract year coming up, basically. These guys all want to know what is their situation going to be coming into this year. And so, do you go into a year with this whole Kevin Durant thing, if it does go into the season, hanging over you, or do they not? Do they think that there will be a point where Kevin Durant breaks and you never put that out there that you're out of the talks? Maybe you don't look at it like a James Harden and say, hey, we're going to put this at ease because Tyler Herro this, Tyler Herro that, or maybe you feel like Tyler Herro seasoned now. He's dealing with it. Is what it is. He'll be fine. But I think a guy like Bam is an interesting thing because Bam hasn't been in the rumors that Tyler has. Like, when's the last time Bam's really been in a trade rumor? When it was Jimmy Butler back in the day when he was 19 years old. And Bam is a guy, like, doesn't forget snubbery when it comes to awards, doesn't forget being left off Team USA with Greg Popovich. Bam don't forget. And so if he ever finds out that a rumor is true, does that ever become a thing? Does that hurt him with recruiting other players to the Miami Heat? Does that hurt him with regards? I don't think so. I mean, he's about as pros as it gets. But I do wonder if there comes a point where the Miami Heat are like, you know what? Let's cut the trade rumor stuff. I don't want this to be a thing that's hanging over Bam, hanging over Tyler, hanging over Duncan, all this type of stuff. What is that line? I would guess it's still going to be a while away. I don't think it's going to be basically until training camp or media day, if you will. Media day is usually at the end of September. So we're still talking at least another 2 months of this stuff. But I do think that if there are no moves and we do get to that September range, be on the lookout for some kind of notification from the Heat reporters that's like, the Heat are no longer in pursuit of and that is just to put it at ease of their locker room going into training camp. The Heat usually like to know what it is and go forth and be in the midst of this. And then, maybe when the trade season picks up and deals become eligible to move again, then they get back into it. But for right now, I think this stuff will still percolate, but it definitely is slowing down. There's no doubt about that. This has definitely been a slower drip as it has been with rumors and whatnot. But, maybe something else will permeate, like BO, because they're nasty, and they're just looking to cook. They're just looking to get together. I will say, though, with the Victor Oladipo thing, Victor Oladipo's videos, I mean, this guy on Instagram and the Twitter, like, hypes galore, goosies galore when it comes to what he's going out and putting out as far as content is concerned. I can't wait to see this guy ball this year. I'm very much looking forward to it and see what he can bring to the Miami Heat. And I think that is a very, very exciting element that's been added to this for sure.